Welcome back to another Diablo 4 video. We just finished the Server Slam beta weekend, and I am eagerly waiting for the official release of the game. And for those of you who were able to defeat Ashapa with the level 20 character and secure the Cry of Ashapa mount trophy, congratulations, as it definitely was a tough battle this time around. Also, there was a lot of major balance updates to each class during this beta, and I'll be getting into that. This tier list is my opinion based on the gameplay I've experienced during the beta, and this tier list is definitely going to change with the full release of the game. I'm certain a lot of these lower tier classes right now are going to be insanely strong towards the end of Diablo 4. Also, if you want to stay up to date with the best classes in Diablo 4, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. And with that being said, let's get right into it. The Barbarian received a good amount of balance updates during this beta, as it received a 10% flat damage reduction across the board to help with the tankiness of the early game. The overall tankiness of the Barbarian received a healthy buff this time around, which definitely helps get through some of the early boss fights as well as dungeons. Unfortunately with this, they decided to nerf the overall damage that the Barbarian is going to dish out, still making the early game fairly difficult while playing alone. The great thing about the Barbarian is it's the only class that can be played as a support, giving a lot of bonuses to your allies. One of the best builds you can go for as the Barbarian would be a high CC support class, providing a ton of crowd control as well as buffing all your teammates. With that being said, playing this class alone can be a struggle at some points in the game, just due to the lack of damage as well as the natural long cooldowns that this class possesses. They also made a major damage nerf to the upheaval skill, as well as nerfing all of the shout skills. This really weakened the best builds for the Barbarian. Unfortunately, a lot of the Barbarian's damage now comes from its bleed skills, requiring you to wait a significant amount of time to pass before your damage is dealt. And with being a melee class and having to sit in the boss's face provides for some difficult gameplay as you wait to become extremely tanky. And for those reasons, I am ranking the Barbarian at a B. I truly believe once we are able to get to the end game and have a fully decked out Barbarian, he can become one of the strongest classes because of the ability to have 4 weapon slots. But we will just have to wait and see. The Druid received a lot of buffs this time around, but unfortunately it still doesn't feel like it's enough to compete with the other classes. You should be aware that we haven't had the opportunity to dive into the Druid specialization as we have had with the other classes. This could make a huge difference in the power that the Druid could potentially possess later on in this game. A lot of the other classes' specializations are extremely strong and a core aspect to their builds, such as the Rogue and the Sorcerer. For the Rogue's inner sight specialization, this has a major influence on the damage that is able to be dished out, and this also goes for the Sorceress's enchantment specialization. But with that being said, the Druid did receive a nice overall buff to its companion skills. These changes are great and you can really feel the difference in damage, but as for the early game and with the lack of legendaries you'll have, it really still feels underwhelming. The Druid definitely felt a lot smoother to play, especially with the fixes to the transformation skills. They are working as intended and allowing for great combat experiences. All in all, I think the Druid has great potential in the late game, especially as this class really begins to shine once you've gotten several legendary gear items that truly start to develop your core build. Unfortunately, from my beta experience, the damage was just not there for the Druid, and I had a much more difficult time on World Tier 2 compared to the other classes, and for that reason, I'm giving the Druid a C tier. The Necromancer was the strongest class in the previous beta, and for those reasons took the hardest hit with the nerf hammer. They went a little extreme on the summoning nerfs, allowing your skeletons to be one-shot by any boss throughout the entire beta. They also nerfed a lot of the bone skills and several of the blood skills as well. The summoning necro is a lot weaker now with all these changes, requiring to summon a lot more frequently. The Necromancer is still extremely powerful with the use of blood magic and allowing you to use skills such as Blood Mist, becoming invulnerable for 3 seconds and healing the damage that you deal. The synergies with this skill and Corpse Explosion is still extremely powerful, but just no longer overpowered. The Necromancer seemed to be very balanced throughout the entire playthrough of the beta, and once you started to get a few legendary items, you could truly feel just how powerful the Necromancer can become. Unfortunately, with the amount of nerfs this class did receive, it really hindered the variety of good build paths you can do, limiting your skill choices to the same few skills that everyone is using. The Necromancer's combat experience feels exceptionally well, with amazing AoE damage and the 3rd best single target damage in the game. But if you're looking for a variety in playstyle that can also perform at the same level as the other classes, this may not be the class for you. As for someone who really enjoyed playing the summoning Necromancer, these nerfs were slightly overkill, and for those reasons, I'm placing the Necromancer as an A tier. Blizzard did announce that they'll be adjusting the summoning nerfs for the Diablo 4 launch, so we'll just have to wait and see if they can find a middle ground for the balancing on this class. Time for the Rogue class, and arguably one of the best classes in Diablo 4. They made several nerfs to the cooldowns on all of Beaumont's skills, as well as the built-in CDR that the Rogue has, but honestly, I could not feel the difference once I had all my skills I needed for this build. They also buffed several subterfuge skills, and one of the best ones being Poison Trap, as they increased the chance to reset all your Beaumont skills by 20% up to 30%. The best thing about the Rogue is the ability to play at melee and ranged. They are both extremely powerful and dish out insane AoE and single target DPS. With both ranged and melee being extremely strong, this allows for a lot of build diversity. With the ability to dash around the map, proc your skills repeatedly, and to receive a massive amount of cooldown reduction based on hitting your targets makes the rogue a lethal threat. With the class's ability to have high agility to easily maneuver around the battlefield staying away from danger at all times, this makes the combat for the rogue feel amazing. Furthermore, the combat on the rogue feels the best out of any class that I have played, as the majority of the skills synergize extremely well. Always having your skills available to use due to low cooldowns makes the combat experience never feel dull or sluggish. From strategically placing traps down, to position yourself in a way that when your daggers come back you eliminate all your enemies behind you, the rogue has a great variety in build paths you can choose from, allowing you to experiment with a lot of different skills until you find something that truly fits your playstyle. The rogue is the only class that I have seen that can solo the first world boss at level 25, and for all these reasons I'm ranking the rogue as an S tier, and probably the strongest class going into Diablo 4's official launch. Finally, we have the Sorcerer class. The Sorcerer class receives some slight nerfs to the Hydra skill as well as Chain Lightning. This was a good nerf as it frees up a lot of room for more build diversity, as now a lot more skills are around the same strength. The Chain Lightning nerf wasn't too bad, and is still an extremely strong skill. This skill still works wonders for single target DPS and synergizes extremely well with the other spells in the Sorcerer's kit. The Sorcerer's ability to teleport out of danger is extremely strong, as well as being able to use a lot of defensive ice spells, some of which will make you immune to damage for 4 seconds while continuously doing AoE damage around you. Also, there isn't a point throughout the entire beta on which the Sorcerer feels weak. During my time playing the Sorcerer, I felt strong instantly and only felt stronger as I progressed through the game and unlocked enchantment, specialization, as well as legendary gear. One of the greatest things about the Sorcerer class is the ability to control 3 different types of destruction magic, and being able to make them synergize together so that you're not only stuck using one type of magic. The build diversity for this class is arguably one of the best within the game, as each spell feels extremely balanced, with only a few feeling like you must use them. Ice spells are mostly used for defensive, lightning is mostly used for burst damage, and fire is used for tick damage. By incorporating all 3 spell types, this makes for some of the best builds within Diablo 4, and for this reason, I'm ranking the Sorcerer at an S tier, right behind the Rogue class. Let me know what your Diablo 4 tier list is in the comments below. Also, with the release right around the corner, know that this tier list is subject to change as you will receive new information as well as learn new things. Especially with seasons coming into Diablo 4, I imagine I'll need to make a new tier list with each and every season that comes out, as there will be a different top class for each season. With Blizzard focusing on making this an ever-changing game, I'm excited to see who is on top of this list next time, and can't wait to try out the next new OP build. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.